As they begin their party conference, let's be clear, the Tories are terrible. Their disastrous COVID overreaction, locking the country down 3 times in pursuit of a seasonal respiratory virus, is something for which we are now paying a colossal price. Unfortunate, therefore, that as reported by the excellent Unheard news website this week, the UK Government Health Security Agency has declared, wait for it, there is a lack of strong evidence on the effectiveness of lockdowns, masking and social distancing to reduce COVID-19 transmission. Well done, everyone. Only $500 billion down the drain and a permanently damaged country. Whilst in office, the Tories have printed money, presided over rampant inflation, seen taxes at their highest level in 70 years, and they have allowed the woke capture of our public institutions to normalise ideas like men are women, that our history is shameful, and that everything is racist, including the countryside, mathematics and knitting. There was the debacle of Partygate as the public were ludicrously locked in their homes, whilst decision-makers and policy wonks were guzzling red wine. There was Liz Truss's laudable but poorly executed tax-cutting budget, and a figure in Boris Johnson who, not without his talents, and he did get Brexit done, limped from one self-inflicted crisis to another, and demonstrates his financial incontinence to this day with his ongoing support for unbridled net zero policies and HS2. For those dreaming of a Boris Johnson comeback one day, be careful what you wish for. So the country's got problems, and the Conservatives have been in power for 13 years. End of. But on what planet are Labour the answer? How will they tackle the eye-watering debt and the ongoing pandemic levels of public spending? The moment they get into power, the trade unions who bankrolled the party will expect pay rises for all, which will reawaken the inflation monster. How will they tackle stifling political correctness and the rise of woke when Keir Starmer will take the knee for any cause, and when he still, to this day, struggles with the idea of what a woman is? Many of his colleagues in the party have been gleefully tweeting in the last few days that plenty of women can have penises. Do you really want 5 years of that? On what planet will Labour tackle our dependence on the international energy market for oil and gas when Keir Starmer announces that he will permit no new oil and gas licences in the North Sea, meaning that tyrants like Vladimir Putin and unscrupulous regimes like Saudi Arabia will hold the whip hand over us for energy supply for the foreseeable future. Starmer's bold idea is a 1970s-style state-sponsored energy business, which will gamble taxpayer billions on flaky renewables, which, as Germany has demonstrated over the last decade, is an experiment at best and one that's not going very well. Apparently, Starmer's going to pay for everything with a windfall tax on oil and gas companies. First of all, there already is a windfall tax. And also it's tricky because although I don't like these businesses and they are polluters, we require their partnership to pursue green energy investment. And we need them to maintain our short to medium term energy supply. As with so much from Starmer, it's a great headline, but with dire real world consequences. Plus, those windfall taxes will be a drop in the ocean anyway, like the few million that he may get from taxing private schools, making them the domain of the super rich, furthering inequality and killing aspiration. A family with a moderate income will now be priced out, and kids forced to leave the private sector. And of course, they will need to be accommodated in our already crowded public schools. And you, the taxpayer, will be left with the bill. To tax any academic institution which teaches and develops British kids, in my view, is an act of cultural barbarism. It's a crime. On what planet are Labour the answer to the illegal migrant crossings when they block the Rwanda plan and just about every other government measure to tackle the issue? Starmer said on Twitter today that he'll smash the criminal smuggling gangs. Good luck with that. I think you'll find these people are quite mobile, quite sophisticated, and quite hard to find. On what planet are Labour the answer to Britain's already bloated and overly expensive failing health service? Again today, he announced the biggest NHS workforce expansion in history. Presumably, more diversity officers. Exactly what you need when you're on a waiting list for cancer treatment. People boast that the NHS is the biggest employer in Europe. That's not a boast. That's proof of its wild inefficiency, and it's going to get bigger under Labour. On what planet are Labour the answer to making a success of Brexit, given that their leader fought to reverse it and has spoken of his keenness to align with multiple EU directives and wants the help of Brussels to tackle the migrant crisis, potentially agreeing a deal to accept a quota of migrants to be agreed with the bloc? The Tories are terrible, but Labour are worse. If you think Keir Starmer is the answer to Britain's problems, you're living on another planet.